had the GR Yaris for 10 months now. I think it's update time. So yeah, I've had the GR Yaris luckily for about 10 months. I was one of the first people in the country to actually get it. And yeah, because of being one of the first people, I've been one of the first people to rack up quite a high mileage. I'm coming up to about 10,000 miles. I think I'm sitting on about 9,250 or something like that. So I'm actually coming up to also my second or first actually main service, which includes all the diff oils, gearbox oils, all of that stuff. I've already had my 6,000 mile service, which was basically just an oil change, a general look around the car, and everything came back fine. But yeah, it's been a great car to own so far. There's been a couple of niggles with it, I have to admit. The first being when I went to leave work one day, about 2 or 3 months ago now, so I was on maybe about 7,000 or 8,000 miles. I had a warning come up when I tried to change it into track mode on the way back from work. And basically it put it into front wheel drive mode. A little warning came up. And I was like, oh shit, what's going on? First thing wrong with this car, like properly. And so I just turned the car off, parked up just down the road, turned it back on. Problem was resolved. I don't know if it's a common issue that sometimes happens when you change like to track mode or sport mode or back to normal. I don't know, but it kind of concerned me for maybe 5 seconds until I turned the car off, restarted it. So if that ever happens to you, just try that as a first precaution. Second up, I've noticed both myself and a lot of other people on various forums like the Facebook Yaris Club and things like that, that a big issue with this car is the lack of thickness on the front windscreen. It seems to crack incredibly easily. Fortunately, I haven't had a crack, but I've had a couple of stone chips and I've been pretty quick at trying to fill them. So thankfully, I haven't actually had a crack yet. I've seen a lot of people getting small like stone chips and which have propagated into cracks almost instantaneously. And these windscreens currently aren't the easiest things to replace. So yeah, one drawback at the moment is the lack of strength in the front windscreen. I'll try and take a couple of pictures, see if I can actually show you where the cracks are. I've also noticed, and this was from very early on, the windscreen seems to be very easy at scratching, even with using just the window wipers. So even from very early on, maybe like having it for about 500 miles or so, I noticed a couple of like hairline scratches in the actual windscreen from just normal, you know, window wiper use. So yeah, one thing just to keep aware of is try and keep them clean, I guess, and try and minimize any scratches that could be, you know, brought around from, you know, the crap coming off roads. And the one other like issue that I've kind of had with the Yaris, and it's nothing really to do with the car's fault at all, is recalls. So I've actually had a recall on mine because I'm guessing because it's one of the earlier cars. I saw a couple of reports on forums such as, again, like the Facebook GR, not marketplace, but you know, the club, basically saying that early cars had an issue with the little SOS box button thing, basically saying that in case of a crash or something like that, the e-services, which is triggered by the button, you know, the SOS button, it doesn't actually put out a signal for help. So basically what I asked Toyota was, because I'm coming up for my 12,000 mile service very soon, probably in like maybe January, February time, I just asked them, can I get this resolved at the same time as, you know, paying for my service? And they said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. So if you're coming up for your service pretty soon, I wouldn't worry about it. I would just get it sorted when you do get your service, be that a 6,000 mile, 12,000 mile, whatever. They should be more than happy just to cover it through that. Apart from that though, this car has been absolutely flawless. I've been quite lucky. I've not had any damage to the front. I've gone over the front with a fine tooth comb to find any like scratches, any stone chips, and luckily, because I have no PPF on the front or anything like that, I've had nothing. Whereas I've seen some people, you know, have front grills crack, things like that. So I think that's just through pure luck that, you know, damage like that occurs, and I think people kind of use the flimsy material, because there are quite a few flimsy materials on the front of the car, including the grille. People are using that as a scapegoat to bad luck, really. I think that could happen to pretty much any car out there. But paintwork seems absolutely perfect. I know it's a white car, so it's quite easy to hide any imperfections. I found the mirror covers, because they're in piano black, they can sometimes look like they've got a couple of like scratches on them, but it's just the nature of the color, and it's just I think it's quite a soft plastic on the black sections of this car. But yeah, apart from that, I've had no issues at all. I found the car incredibly practical. I've managed to get like quite a few IKEA trips to it in the boot, albeit putting the back seats down, but I've got no kids, so what's the problem with that? I've also found that the mile per gallon sits around 33 mpg. Since it's been getting a bit colder, I've noticed it drop maybe 0.2, 0.3. But again, that's not a massive deal. Well, I suppose it kind of is if you take into account the price of the bloody fuel at the moment. Like £1.60 for premium unleaded is absolutely ridiculous, considering in the COVID times, I'm pretty sure petrol got down to about 98 pence a litre or something. But yeah, again, this was just a quick update. It'd be nice to know if you guys have had the same problems with this car. I say problems, just niggles that you probably get with every car anyway. If you can get your hands onto one that's at a reasonable price, because at the moment people are trying to sell them at extortionate prices. Like, I've seen some go for about 38 to 40,000 pound. Like, come on, you can't charge that for a Yaris. It's ridiculous. And but I have noticed, if you want to try and avoid all that, Toyota have reopened registrations for buying or putting an order in for your own one. So if you're patient enough and you're more than happy to wait for your GR Yaris, yeah, Toyota have reopened their registration. I'll put a link below where you can do that, and yeah, you can put your name down. I'm not sure what the lead time will be. I'm guessing end of 22, maybe the early part of 23. I've noticed a couple of people have been getting them early, but that's because they've been going off their own back to try and find one that's been cancelled at some point. And that's something else you can do. You can try and get a cancellation slot that someone else has pulled out of. But yeah, this is my 10,000 10-month update. Hope you guys actually find something interesting in this. And I'll see you again for maybe, I don't know, 20,000 miles? 30,000 miles, maybe, when I actually finally get a problem. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.